Blessed Friday to you as we come with your daily encouragement. And today is let's see, we have the first, second, third, fourth, fifth day of Christmas. And on this fifth day of Christmas, we have a reflection I got from the Lutheran African American hymnal and talking about the need to share with one another. And it comes from First Timothy 5:8. Who does not provide for relatives, especially for family members, has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. It also has an alternative reading from Acts 2, where initially there was so much cooperation and concern after the formation of the church after Pentecost that all shared their resources together. Now, the African American hymnal here coincides with the themes of the celebration called Kwanzaa. And so the all coalesce in a understanding that we are to have from Christ, to know that we are stewards of what God has given us. Not owners, but stewards. We may be owners in the eyes of the world. We may be owners in the eyes of our economic practices. But we are understanding of the biblical practice that all creation is created by God, and we are only temporary trustees of what has been given. Some of us have been given more. And all I can say is if you're an American, you probably would think that you have a lot less, but you really have per capita a lot more than most people think that they have. But the point is not whether we get more or less. It's what we do with what we have, or at least are permitted to have authority over. And so the first lesson of that authority is to know that it is ultimately not ours. And that comes from the reality of death. That comes from the reality that ownership of anything that we possess, including our own remains, ends once we have ceased to breathe. We might have intentions on what to do with the rest of those remains, and they get done, but then we have no more say. And that is something to realize that we are creatures. We are not the creator of our own wealth. And because of that, we are called to do what the owner of that wealth would want us to do. And so, if we view that we worship a God of love, of compassion, of concern for our fellow neighbor, we need to be concerned that we are not hoarding, we are not being overly protective of things that don't ultimately belong to us. Yes, we need to have holy fear and reverence for the things that God has blessed us with, but then we are called to let go of that. And ultimately, the example that we are given, not just from the command from Timothy, saying that if we don't share, we're worse than an unbeliever, is more important. We are following our example of what God did. For God's most valuable thing was his Son. And it is for the world that God gave us his only Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have eternal life. And so, as we continue in this remembrance, if not celebration, of Christmas, we are reminded that God's act was to gift us with the baby Jesus, the baby that interrupted a lot of people's economic activities, interrupted the person that allowed Mary and Joseph to allow them to stay at the inn. They did that out of compassion, not necessarily out of economic duty. Maybe Joseph did have to pay a little bit extra for that, so maybe it hurt him. We don't know all those details. But we do know that Jesus' gift to us was an interruption. And whether we celebrate Christmas or don't celebrate Christmas, his birthday is an interruption to our life and time. Now, we can act like Scrooge in A Christmas Carol and think that this is just an unnecessary interruption to normal life. Or we can do what it calls us to do: open our eyes, open our ears, open our hearts to the needs of others, both locally and maybe far away. Whatever it is, we are called to show our love by the things that we give, not so much as the things that we have been blessed with. I think many of us are astounded by what we have been blessed with, but what is even more astounding is that we are blessed to give, to share, and to do the things that God did through his Son, Jesus Christ. And Jesus gave the same command. If you want to follow me, take up your cross and follow me. If you want to follow me, welcome the little ones, if not the children who have nothing in return to give. If you want to follow me, welcome me when I come as the poor and the weak, the lame and those who are without clothing, the imprisoned and others. You see, all of those are examples of the fruit of this celebration, these 12 days. And so I invite you and me to have our eyes open, to have our heart open, and as we start to make plans for the new year, to trust that Jesus Christ is Lord. Take care. God bless. We trust that these continue to be moments of encouragement for you. Take care. We'll see you tomorrow.